At my best friend's wedding, I bumped into my ex-husband, who had dumped me because we couldn't have kids. Normally, I just deal with it maturely, but he was drunk and did something unthinkable.
You've really packed on the pounds, huh?
He actually doused me with water. It's always been a problem, but to pull such a horrible stunt in public? As people around us gawked, my best friend came over. Lonnie, are you okay? My ex was stunned by her words. I'm Tiana, a 32-year-old married nurse. My job is demanding, but rewarding when patients thank me. Although I'm married now, I was previously married once, which makes me a divorcee. That first marriage is a painful chapter I'd rather forget. I was bad at judging men back then and even developed a mistrust for them. But let me start from the beginning of this dark chapter. I was 24 when I had an arranged meeting set up by my parents. Nursing is demanding. Managing medical supplies, patient communication, care plans, emergency drills. You can't slack off when lives are at stake. I chose this path, so no regrets, but it was exhausting. On my days off, I'd rather rest than go out, so I rarely met guys. I was okay with it, but my parents worried about me being single. So I gave the arranged meeting a try. That's where I met Lonnie, my ex-husband. He was outgoing and chatty, which helped ease my nerves at our first meeting.
What do you enjoy doing, Tiana? I'm really into riding my motorcycle lately.
I told him. I'm into reading. I love to relax at home with a book and tea. I'm hooked on mystery novels right now, collecting a whole series. Kind of spending a lot on them, though.
I totally get it. When you're into a hobby, spending just happens.
He was fun, and a good talker. For some reason, he seemed to take a liking to me, and after he pursued me, we dated and married a year later. I had no idea then how much I'd regret marrying Lonnie. The first year seemed okay. We both worked and shared household chores. But then, he started revealing his true colors. 2 years in, we tried for a baby. He really wanted kids.
I bet our kids would be adorable. Boy or girl, I just want a bunch. Let's raise them together.
I wanted his child too, so I agreed. But after 3 years, no baby. He started getting impatient and blamed me for our childlessness. I even got tested for infertility once. The results showed nothing wrong with me. Infertility isn't just about illness. Lifestyle, stress, timing, they all matter. Maybe my demanding job and night shifts played a part. He insisted it was all on me. But I don't think it's right to just blame me for everything. It's just that there's a higher chance of me being the cause. It's not like I have been told I can never have kids. I asked him to join me for infertility treatment, but he outright refused.
There's no way I'm the problem. It has to be your infertility. You're the reason we don't have kids. This is terrible.
This made him bossy, blaming me for being infertile. So Lonnie started strutting around, blaming me, his infertile wife, for everything and doing whatever he pleased. He was a classic male chauvinist, gradually dumping all the household chores on me, while he just goofed off at home. No matter how much I asked for help, he wouldn't lift a finger. If I were a stay-at-home wife, maybe it would have been a big deal. But both of us working, and me alone doing all the chores? No way. Especially as a nurse with lots of night shifts. It was natural for the quality of housework to drop. But he would complain about every little thing.
Hey, the laundry was wrinkled. Fold it more carefully. And dinner tonight tasted bland. Are you slacking off? Make it better.
I was so fed up with his selfish remarks. I'm exhausted from work too, you know. Doing household perfectly is impossible. If you don't like how I do it, why don't you do it yourself?
Housework is a wife's job. Just shut up and listen to your husband. You should be grateful I haven't divorced a useless woman who can't even have kids.
He kept blaming me for being infertile and started to skimp on the household expenses, saying he didn't want to waste money on an infertile wife. He only contributed $335 to our monthly expenses, keeping the rest for himself. I had to dip into my salary and savings to cover the rest. Divorce crossed my mind, but it was tough to decide. My parents were so happy when I got married. I didn't want to let them down. I tried fixing things with Lonnie, but it didn't work. He despised me for being infertile, and I had grown suspicious of him. Trust was gone, and there was no way we could reconcile. His behavior worsened, and he started womanizing. He'd stay out drinking late and go out on weekends. He often came home late, reeking a woman's sweet perfume. He claimed it was for business entertainment, but I doubted it. In 2 years, I found out about 3 affairs. 2 were with bar women, and 1 was a college student who had been deceived into thinking he was single and was seriously into him. When they found out he was married, it turned into a huge mess. I'd rather not remember that drama. Naturally, my love for him faded fast. Then, when I was 30, a decisive event happened. He hurled cruel words at me.
I'm sick of an infertile hag. I'm going to marry a young girl who can have my kids.
That's how he discarded me like trash. I got some alimony based on evidence of his affairs, but it wasn't much. The woman deceived by Lonnie was one thing, but the other 2 disappeared, so I couldn't claim alimony from them. I told my parents we split due to incompatibility. It was hard seeing them upset. Post-divorce, I was down for a while. No regrets about leaving him, since I no longer loved him, but I mourned the wasted 5 years. I should have left him sooner. Why didn't I see it earlier? I was indecisive and foolish. But Glenn, my current husband, helped me through it. He'd been a friend since college, popular, caring, and kind. We'd always been close, and he'd listened to many of my troubles. He supported me through my hardest times, even after marriage. I vented to him about work, being blamed for infertility, and Lonnie's cheating. Of course, I told him first about the divorce, and he said this to me.
Sounds like he was a real jerk. I think you made the right choice, divorcing him. You've had it tough.
Absolutely. I wasted so much time. I'm so disappointed in myself for not seeing through him. I think I'll stay away from marriage for a while.
Actually, there's something I've been wanting to say. Would you consider dating me with the intention of getting married?
I was shocked by his shy confession. According to him, he'd had feelings for me since college. But he was focused on his startup and worried about failing, so he never confessed. By the time I got married, he thought he should give up, but he couldn't. Years later, when he heard my marriage was in trouble, he decided to confess if I ever got divorced. I initially turned down his confession since I'd just divorced, but he patiently and persistently showed his feelings. Gradually, I was drawn to his kindness and eventually accepted Glenn. I had told him up front that I might be infertile, but he wasn't bothered at all.
I'm not marrying you just to have kids. Let's give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just live our lives as a couple.
His words cleared the fog in my heart. Even after getting married, he treated me well, and we were living happily. So I never expected to encounter my ex-husband, Lonnie, again. One day, I received a wedding invitation from Stacy, a friend from college. Glenn was invited too, so we attended as a couple. I wore a light blue dress that he helped me pick out for the occasion. The wedding was in November, and though it was cold outside, the room was nicely warmed. There, I was shocked to see Lonnie sitting among the guests on the groom's side. Apparently, he was a co-worker of the groom. I was in high spirits for my friend's wedding, but seeing Lonnie was a downer. Time had passed since our divorce, so I was so over him. I tried to act mature and not let him bother me. The reception went smoothly, and it was almost time for the cake cutting. Glenn went to the bathroom, and I was enjoying the delicious food when suddenly a familiar voice from behind shattered the moment.
You've really packed on the pounds, huh? Isn't it hot for a fatty like you to be in here with all this heating? Let me cool you down.
Before I could grasp the meaning of his words, he had doused me with water. Water stains spread across my light blue dress. When I turned around, there was Lonnie, holding the cup that must have contained the water, grinning like a fool. His face was slightly red, probably from drinking. The crowd fell silent, and voices of condemnation rose towards Lonnie. I was more astonished than angry. I always knew he was senseless, but doing such a stupid thing in front of everyone? You're the worst. I was trying to ignore you, and you pulled this? Aren't you embarrassed to be such an idiot as an adult? He just laughed mockingly, ignoring my icy tone.
Look who's talking. An infertile pig. But you've been living a miserable life since I dumped you. That pretty dress doesn't suit you. It's just pathetic.
Guests were staring at him with disgusted expressions, yet he shamelessly continued mocking me. Then my best friend, Stacy, hearing the commotion, rushed over. Seeing me drenched, she turned pale. Are you okay? You're drenched. I'll get you a towel and some clothes to change into. Just wait. Don't worry about it. It'll air dry. No, waiting for it to air dry will just make you cold. Being cold is the last thing pregnant women need, you know? Lonnie, hearing this, let out a dumbfounded, huh? He had been mocking me for being infertile, but now, hearing I was pregnant, his reaction was expected. I smiled at the stunned Lonnie. I didn't gain weight. I'm pregnant. Just so you know, I got pregnant soon after remarrying my current husband. Turns out the infertility issue was yours. His face turned ashen at my words, but his misfortune didn't end there. My husband Glenn, returning from the restroom, rushed to me, glaring at Lonnie and shouted,
What did you do to my wife?
Then Lonnie, seeing Glenn's face, exclaimed in shock,
Oh my gosh, why are you here?
Turns out Lonnie's company's major client was Glenn's company. If Glenn cut ties, Lonnie's company would face a crisis. Knowing that Glenn was my husband, Lonnie turned pale. Then Lonnie's boss and even the company president came rushing over to apologize to me.
I'm terribly sorry for our employee's inexcusable behavior.
Meanwhile, my husband angrily declared the deal was off. Hearing this, Lonnie started to desperately apologize.
I'm so sorry. Please, not the deal.
Glenn responded to his apology.
You're apologizing to the wrong person.
Then Lonnie, realizing his mistake, turned to me and apologized.
I'm extremely sorry for what happened. Please, forgive me.
I looked at him with cold eyes. Seeing him in this pathetic state didn't give me any satisfaction. Just having him in my sight was unpleasant. To avoid further annoyance, I decided to leave. Your apology is unnecessary. You're just sorry to save face, right? I have no intention of forgiving you.
Please, don't say that. I'll do whatever I can to make it up to you.
Enough. Your apologies are worthless to me. How pathetic for an adult to act so childishly. Just seeing your face makes me feel awful. Don't come near me ever again. Ignoring his repeated apologies, I left the venue with Glenn. I felt bad for Stacy, but I couldn't stand to stay there. Later, I called to apologize, but she wasn't angry and actually apologized for my discomfort. A few days later, Glenn told me what happened to Lonnie. After discussion, it was decided that his company wasn't at fault, so the business deal continued. Instead, he was transferred to a regional branch, a place where problematic or incompetent employees were sent. Being sent there, known as exile in the company, meant no chance for advancement. As for me, as long as Lonnie stayed out of my sight, it was fine. My pregnancy was going well, with only a month left until the baby's birth. Glenn always spoke to my belly, excited for our child's arrival. Being loved by my husband and blessed with a child, I felt truly happy. I wanted to cherish this life moving forward.
I have given my heart and soul to my husband for 20 years. One day, when I return home, I find signed divorce papers. I swiftly reach out to him, and he answers with a frosty tone.
I'm moving out of the house. Make sure to sign the divorce papers, okay?
What? This is too sudden. At least tell me the reason.
Fine, I will tell you. My girlfriend is pregnant. You are no longer needed.
Girlfriend? Pregnant? What are you talking about?
I won't pay a cent for alimony. There's no proof of my infidelity anyway.
I'm bursting with rage at this point. I've dedicated myself entirely to him, managing the household, caring for our child, and tending to his mom for 2 decades. Yet, he wants to end it with a single phone call for such a selfish reason. You just wait and see. I immediately suppress my anger. Oh, I see. Fine. Let's get a divorce.
Oh, really?
In the following month, he goes into a frenzy, bombarding me with calls. I'm Martha, a 46-year-old nurse. I've taken pride in working since I was younger. My husband's name is Tony. He's 2 years older than me and works in a telecom company. We met through our mutual friend. His dependable and manly attitude grabbed my heart back then. We started going out, and eventually, he popped the question. I was thrilled to be engaged to him. His father had passed away during his university, so his mother lived alone. I heard that she was from an affluent family, and she carried an air of sophistication. "Oh, what a lovely girl! I'm so glad to have you as my family." She gave me a gentle smile. I was happy to have such a charming mother-in-law. After we got married and moved in together, I discovered that he had no intention of sharing household chores. He left his laundry lying around, didn't take out the trash, and never bothered to clean up after eating. Since we were both working, I asked him several times to help out, but all he ever said was,
"Housework is the wife's responsibility. Don't try to make me do it."
Back then, society was a little more conservative compared to today, and there was still a belief that housework was a wife's duty, and men should be put on a pedestal. So I obediently followed this idea. Not long after we got married, I became pregnant. While Tony was happy about it, he still didn't lift a finger to help me at home. If I couldn't do it due to morning sickness, he would even become visibly upset.
"Geez, are we having takeout again today?"
"Sorry, but I'm feeling sick again. I've been in bed all day."
Such a lazy wife.
He could have made something by himself. I wished he would show some consideration for me. Despite my thoughts, I apologized. I believed that taking care of my husband's needs was a wife's duty, and I did my best to be attentive to him. Even after our daughter Sarah was born, he remained the same. He played with her only when she was in a good mood, and avoided diaper changes or making formula. No matter how many times I told him we would share parenting, he just didn't get it. I was running around taking care of Sarah and housework from morning to night, while he only focused on his job. Even after I returned to work, nothing changed. He remained indifferent to childcare and spent his time as he pleased. During those times, Cassidy occasionally helped out. She really adored Sarah without making any complaints to me. I was saved by her presence. As the years went by, we somehow reached our 20th wedding anniversary. Sarah was 18 years old and living in a university dorm. I was thinking that I would have more time for myself even though I was still juggling work and the chores daily. However, I received a call saying that Cassidy had fallen down at home and broken a bone. When Tony and I went to the hospital, she looked devastated. "Well, I'm getting old. I could leave the hospital soon, but I would need care for my daily life."
"Don't worry about it. Martha is going to help you."
To my surprise, Tony told her as if it was no big deal. I had a full-time job. I thought I finally could start thinking about my own life. Sensing my inner turmoil, Cassidy spoke up. "But she works full-time and is already busy. I can't burden her." Tony looked at me and asked if I could manage with a hint of pressure. I couldn't say no, so I had to say, "Leave it to me." That was how I ended up juggling all the household chores, working, and taking care of my mother-in-law. Tony left the caregiving entirely to me and didn't even ask about her condition. I couldn't help but think he was cold-hearted. But for Cassidy's sake, I continued to do my best every day. Around that time, he began working late and spending a lot of time away from home. Despite claiming overtime, he often came home late at night drunk. I ended up eating dinner alone more frequently, feeling lonely. 3 months after I started caring for Cassidy, our 20th wedding anniversary approached. I had arranged for us to go out for dinner to celebrate. In the midst of the daily grind of work, housework, and caregiving, it was the one thing I looked forward to. "Honey, don't forget, We have a dinner reservation for our wedding anniversary tonight. Let's meet in front of the restaurant, okay? I reminded Tony, handing a briefcase to him as he was leaving for work.
I know. See you later.
I watched him walk out of the door, and then I headed to work as well. After finishing my shift, I waited in front of the restaurant at the agreed upon time of 6 p.m., but he didn't show up. I got anxious and tried calling him multiple times, but he didn't answer. Finally, on the 8th call, he picked up. It sounded pretty noisy where he was.
Why are you calling me over and over?
It's our anniversary dinner, remember? It's almost time. He made a dismissive snigger and responded.
Never mind the anniversary. Seriously, it's pointless celebrating that now.
What the?
Only you care about that stuff. Go ahead and celebrate on your own. Just so you know, I'm not coming home tonight.
Wait, hold on. He hung up without listening to my pleas. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to eat alone, so I canceled the reservation and left the restaurant disappointed. I told Sarah what happened when she called. She got angry on my behalf and called him a jerk, which made me feel a bit better. Afterward, I went to check on Cassidy. She noticed the air of gloom surrounding me and asked what happened. I ended up telling her about how Tony had canceled our anniversary dinner. Her face became quite serious, and I immediately regretted telling her. As I grew anxious, she spoke in a solemn tone. Listen, Martha, I must tell you something. And then she stunned me with her unexpected revelation. 3 months had passed since then. When I returned home from stopping by Cassidy's after work, my house was pitch dark. As soon as I turned on the lights, I saw something on the table that left me speechless. They were divorce papers left by Tony. I immediately reached out to him. Honey, where are you? What are these papers? He didn't hide his annoyance and replied,
I'm moving out of the house. Just sign those, okay?
What? This is too sudden. At least tell me why.
I will tell you then. My girlfriend is pregnant. You're no longer needed.
Girlfriend? Pregnant? What in the world are you talking about?
I won't pay a cent of alimony. There is no proof of my infidelity anyway.
I was burning with rage at that moment. I dedicated myself entirely to him, managing the household, caring for our child, and tending to his mom for 2 decades. Yet, he wanted to end it with a single phone call for such a selfish reason. I thought, you just wait and see. I immediately suppressed my anger. Oh, I see. Fine. Let's get a divorce.
Oh, really?
He sounded surprised by my reaction. Maybe he thought I would get angrier or beg. I calmly asked him, So, what are your plans for your mother's caregiving if we divorce?
Caregiving? I'm sure I will figure out something. If you're so concerned about it, go ahead and you can continue. Anyway, I gotta go now. It feels so good to know that I don't have to see your face anymore.
With that, the call ended. I couldn't help but smile as I held my phone. Afterward, I gave Sarah a rundown of what was happening. Finally, you're better off without him. Let me know if you need my help. Once again, I was left dumbfounded at how little he was regarded by his own daughter. About a month later, I received a call during my lunch break. It was from Tony, so I ignored it, but the phone didn't stop ringing. He was bombarding me with incessant calls. It was becoming quite annoying, so I reluctantly picked it up. Yeah?
At last! What the heck do you think you're doing by sending me that?
Oh, you got it, huh? I replied to his anger nonchalantly. He continued shouting nonsense, which I cut it off by saying, "Come to your mom's place tonight at 7 p.m. We'll talk there." Then I hung up the phone. That night, I waited for him with Cassidy at her house until he arrived, looking all pissed off.
God darn you! What do you think you're doing?
What do you mean?
I mean this. You're coming after me for alimony.
He handed me the documents sent through a lawyer. I calmly told him, "Well, we are getting a divorce because of your affair, so asking for alimony is only fair, right?"
Where's the proof of my affair then?
Your girlfriend is with your child, right? You said so yourself. He fell silent. I wondered how reckless he could be without realizing it himself.
But there should be no concrete proof of the affair. If I just play dumb, I won't need to pay alimony.
I threw several photos at him while he stammered out excuses. They were of him walking arm in arm with a young woman and entering a hotel.
What the heck? Were you having me followed?
Obviously. Did you have fun meeting your girlfriend behind my back?
I thought you had no idea.
Then Cassidy spoke up. I told her to look into your activities. I saw you walking with that woman when I was coming back from the hospital.
What, you?
That night, when our anniversary dinner was cancelled, she shamefully revealed about witnessing his affair. She urged me to act fast and even offered to cover the investigation fee if needed. With her assistance, I had the evidence collected. He brought up the divorce after that. So when he did, I already knew about his affair. I spoke matter-of-factly to Tony, who looked at me and Cassidy alternately. So we are getting a divorce. I will claim $30,000 for alimony and property division.
Wait a minute. Please spare me from alimony. I have a new life waiting for me, you know. I'm going to have a child with her.
The confidence and bravado from earlier disappeared, and he pleaded meekly. I looked down at him with a cold gaze. No, I will not spare you. If you refuse to pay, we'll go to court or whatever it takes. Hearing that, he suddenly became defiant.
Fine. I will pay alimony or whatever. Anyway, I will inherit my mom's estate soon. Her family is rich, and I'm her only son. I'm going to get a substantial inheritance, you know.
He sneered with a malicious expression. At that moment, Cassidy, looking exasperated, said, "You couldn't have cared less about me, and you betrayed Martha, who devoted herself to raising Sarah and caring for me. Do you really think you are getting an inheritance?" I intend to give my assets to her and Sarah before I pass away. I've already changed the beneficiary for my life insurance to her. Don't expect to get anything from me.
No way!
He pleaded with her to reconsider over and over, but she was adamant. Frustrated, he glared at me.
You manipulated my mom. Remember this.
Then, I decided to drop another bomb on him. Oh, by the way, should I tell you something interesting?
What?
He looked bewildered, and I handed him a manila folder. As he looked at the contents, his face turned paler and paler.
What the heck is this?
As you can see, it's evidence of your girlfriend Jessica meeting her real boyfriend. The pictures inside showed her hanging out with a young, handsome guy, kissing and doing what happy young couples do. Jessica, who had been working at a bar, seems to be deeply involved with one of the regulars. Tony trembled as he looked at the photos.
This can't be true. She's pregnant with my child.
Despite that, she was drinking heavily at the bar and was puffing away on cigarettes too.
What?
Well, this is what I found during my investigation. But she hadn't been to the obstetrician either. I doubt she's even pregnant.
But she was asking me for money for maternity checkups and baby clothes.
I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Seriously, do you really think a woman this young and beautiful would marry a middle-aged average Joe like you? Haven't you figured it out yet? She was just using you for money.
I'm ashamed of my son.
Then he started to tremble and attempted to make a call somewhere. But the announcement on the other end said, "The call cannot be completed as dialed."
Why? What's going on?
I laughed at his clueless face. "She has probably blocked you. Looks like you've been dumped."
No, it can't be.
He collapsed to his knees, devastated. Then he suddenly clung to me.
Martha, I've been the biggest fool. I was deceived. The only person I truly love is you. Let's start over. Let's go back to being a happy family with Sarah and Mom.
He tried to grab my hand, and I forcefully pushed him away. "Don't touch me. You left me like that after I spent 20 years dedicating to you. I will never forgive you. Pay up and get lost, you scumbag." Then I kicked him out of the house while he bawled his eyes out in such a shameful way. Later on, we finalized our divorce. I was able to claim alimony from him and received a substantial portion in the property division. Sarah and Cassidy blocked his calls and stopped talking to him as well. Due to his financial contribution to his girlfriend, he had almost depleted his savings. He had to borrow money to pay alimony. At work, he used to brag about marrying a younger woman and having a child. It now became a running joke after his colleagues found out that he was dumped, and her pregnancy turned out to be a lie. He has been referred to as a pathetic old man who was fooled by a younger girl and abandoned by his wife since then. He lost his family, savings, and accumulated debts, forcing him to live in a rundown apartment. He's taken an extra job, working night shifts at the construction site to repay his debt. Even with this knowledge, I feel no sympathy for him. Instead, I think he got what he deserved. On the other hand, I sold the house and now live comfortably in a new apartment. Soon, I plan to take Sarah and Cassidy on vacation, using the alimony we won. Cassidy's health is improving, and she has been expressing her gratitude to me. From now on, I will cherish what's left and move forward with a bright outlook on life.
Hey, ugly. Hurry up and clean up.
After my daughter's birthday celebration, immediately after my parents had left, my husband, who always puts up a good front, said this to me.
I'm exhausted from dealing with your parents, so clean up quickly. By the way, that old raccoon dog looks just like you. Is that why you're so ugly too?
Wait a minute. Are you calling my father an old raccoon dog?
Yes, I am. And that meddlesome woman. Why bother with cooking when you can just give money instead? Hey, throw that dish away because I don't want to have to deal with leftovers.
I can't believe you would say that about not only my father, but my mother as well. I can't throw away my mom's cooking. I'll eat it. You don't have to. I told him in a tearful voice, and my husband just chuckled.
You still want to eat? That's why you're getting fat. It's embarrassing to have a fat and ugly wife. Lose some weight.
I reached my limit at this moment. Insulted as fat and ugly, with my beloved parents also being ridiculed, I no longer wanted this husband who was all about appearances only. At that moment, I made up my mind. I was determined to show this superficial husband a thing or two. Little did I know at that time that an unexpected opportunity would come my way 6 months later. My name is Rebecca, and I'm 32 years old. I'm a working mother, raising our 3-year-old daughter. My husband's name is Roy. We met at a so-called speed dating event. I'm a bit shy, introverted, and a bit on the plump side. Because of my personality, I lack self-confidence. So even at the speed dating event I attended upon a friend's invitation, I couldn't bring myself to approach anyone. It was Roy, who later became my husband, who approached me as I stood nervously in a corner of the event venue. He was a businessman, working for a large corporation. Roy, with his refreshing appearance and cheerful demeanor, was quite popular at these speed dating events. But for some reason, he noticed me.
Rebecca, I'd like to talk with you more. Would you like to go out for a meal sometime?
Roy said this with a smile, which appeared very dazzling to me. Afterward, Roy and I started dating right away. Roy has been unquestionably kind to me during our relationship. He treated me with kindness and charm. So, I was very happy when he proposed after a year and a half of dating.
Rebecca, please marry me. I'll make you happy for the rest of your life.
Thank you, Roy. I'm so happy. And so, Roy and I got engaged. After that, we received approval from his parents. And the next step was to visit my parents. My parents are a wealthy couple who run a company together. They loved me very much as their only daughter. They welcomed Roy with great joy.
Rebecca, I can't believe you brought such a wonderful young man.
Truly, he's kind and smart. I'm so proud that someone like him is marrying you, Rebecca. Roy behaved with modesty and charm in front of my parents. I was watching their behavior with joy. Later, Roy and I tied the knot. It was right after the wedding that I noticed his discomfort. It happened when we were celebrating with gifts at Roy's company housing, which would be our new home. When I opened the gift envelope from my parents, I found a surprising $6,700 inside. Hey, Roy, it seems my parents included $6,700 in the envelope. I was surprised, and when I mentioned it, Roy raised an eyebrow.
$6,700? Is that all? He's the president. He should have given me more.
Huh?
Your parents are surprisingly stingy. Well, I'll take what I can get.
I was surprised by Roy saying such a thing. Normally, he would say something like,
So much. I should be thankful for your father and mother.
Or something like that. I was trying to convince myself at the time that there must be some mistake. However, Roy gradually began to reveal his true nature. While he remained the same kind and perfect young man to outsiders, it was only in front of me that he underwent a complete transformation. Before we got married, he had promised to share the household chores, but Roy didn't do any housework at all.
Since we're married, household chores are the wife's responsibility.
Saying that, he dumped everything on me. Furthermore, inside the house, it was a barrage of criticism. He would belittle everyone, from his colleagues and superiors at work to people we passed on the street. During our courtship, I had never heard him speak ill of anyone. What was this change all about? I endured this arrogant attitude of Roy's while handling all the housework. On the other hand, there was some good news. It turned out that I was pregnant just 6 months after getting married. Hey, Roy, it seems like I'm pregnant.
What? Really? Way to go, Rebecca.
It seemed like Roy genuinely rejoiced at my pregnancy, and he immediately called our parents to share the news. Watching him in that moment, I thought maybe Roy will return to being the kind husband he used to be. Surely it would be like that. However, that hope was soon shattered. Roy was cold even to me when I started experiencing morning sickness.
Are you sleeping again? Even if you're pregnant, you're slacking off on household chores too much, aren't you?
Roy said this to me as I lay on the bed, feeling sick. In response, I told him, I'm really struggling with morning sickness, and I can't eat properly. I think I could manage to eat Jell-O. I thought he might buy some Jell-O for me, so I said it, with that tiny bit of hope. However, he immediately contorted his face.
Huh? What's with that tone? Do you really think I'd go out and buy Jell-O for you? Cut it out with the whining.
Saying this, he continued to have his meal, leaving me disappointed. A few days later, Melinda, an older woman who lived in the same company housing as Roy and was the wife of his boss, approached me. I heard that you're pregnant, Rebecca. Congratulations. Oh, thank you. It's still early. Morning sickness must be tough, right? I heard that from your husband when I met him the other day. He told me that he's doing all the household chores, even searching for and buying Jell-O for you. What a great husband he is. Huh? Even during morning sickness, I was made to do all the housework, and he didn't even buy Jell-O for me. Melinda continued, disregarding my feelings. You're such a fortunate woman to have such a great husband, Rebecca. Oh, by the way, I have a 1-year-old daughter too. When your child is born, we should become mom friends, okay? Yes, I'd love to. Thank you very much. I couldn't believe that Roy was telling such lies outside. I was truly getting frustrated. Afterward, I gave birth safely, and we had a lovely baby girl whom we named Monica. When my parents came to meet Monica for the first time, there was this conversation.
Roy, Rebecca, congratulations. She's such a cute little girl.
Knowing you, Roy, we don't need to worry about parenting. Please take care of Rebecca and Monica. Roy responded to my parents with a smile.
Yes, I even took paternity leave, so you can leave it to me. I'll do my best with parenting.
Oh my, you took paternity leave?
My wife and daughter are my treasures, so I have to work hard to be a dedicated father.
Rebecca, you really are a lucky woman. All I could do at that moment was force a smile. Later, when parenting began, Roy predictably did nothing. Even when Monica cried, he wouldn't pick her up, nor would he change her diapers. Moreover, taking advantage of his paternity leave, he started going out frequently. One day, when Roy returned home, I was changing Monica's diaper.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome back. Where did you go today?
What? Surfing. There were great waves today.
While I spent the entire day taking care of Monica and doing housework, he had gone surfing. As I quietly continued my tasks, Roy seemed irritated and said,
Hey, the master of the house is back, so how about serving a beer or something?
Can't you see what I'm doing? I'm in the middle of changing the diaper now.
That can wait. Come on, hurry up and get me a beer.
I sighed, stood up, and got Roy a beer. As time went by, I returned to work, and we enrolled Monica in a nearby daycare. Living in the same company housing, I had the chance to become friends with Melinda, the wife of Roy's boss, and with Haley, another one of his colleagues' wife. One day when I was picking up Monica, Haley said, "Rebecca, your husband, it's so kind of him to take Monica to daycare every morning. My husband would never think of doing such a thing." It's true that Roy had taken it upon himself to take Monica to daycare every morning. Melinda, with a smile on her face, added, "Moreover, Roy greets us cheerfully every morning. When I praised him and said he's amazing, he replied like this. 'My wife and daughter are my treasures,' he said. 'He's a truly wonderful husband.' Perhaps my husband is trying to create the impression of being an involved father by taking on the responsibility of dropping off our child at this daycare, which is frequented by many residents of our company housing. If that's the case, it's too calculating." However, I couldn't say much thanks to them, so I had to force a smile. On Monica's second birthday, my parents came to celebrate with us. On that day, Roy's outward appearance was perfect, and we had a pleasant time together. My parents left, but after watching their car drive away, Roy said this to me.
"Hey, you, ugly, hurry up and clean up."
Huh? Although I had experienced his arrogant attitude before, he had never called me ugly.
"I'm exhausted from dealing with your parents. Hurry up and clean. By the way, that old raccoon dog looks just like you. Is that why you're so ugly too?"
Hold on. When you say that old raccoon dog, are you talking about my father?
"Yeah, but it's true, isn't it? And that meddling hag. Why bother with cooking when you can just give money instead? Hey, get rid of that food. I don't want leftovers."
To insult not only my father, but also my mother like this? I can't throw away my mother's cooking. I'll eat it so you don't have to. With a teary voice, I declared this, and Roy sneered.
"Still planning to eat, huh? That's why you're getting fat. It's embarrassing to have a fat and ugly wife. Lose weight, you fatso."
Insulted as fat and ugly, with my beloved parents also being ridiculed, I no longer wanted this husband who was all about appearances only. At that moment, I made a determination to show him what I'm capable of. Afterward, I purchased a voice recorder and started recording Roy's actions and words. Unbeknownst to him, the audio files started piling up. Roy continued to display his arrogant attitude at home. I recorded everything meticulously, including him calling me names like ugly, fat, and incompetent, insulting my parents, berating colleagues and superiors in our house, and treating Monica coldly. 6 months later, an unexpected opportunity arose to present this evidence. "Roy, it seems there's a sports school event for Monica coming up. What are you going to do?"
"It's a hassle, but of course I'm going. I have to keep up my image as an involved dad."
I secretly smiled. On the day of Monica's sports event, we were joined by my parents, and I saved seats in the same tent with my mom friends, Melinda and Haley. "Well, Rebecca, your husband is here too. Truly, he's quite an involved dad. I envy you. My husband is just sleeping at home." Melinda and Haley kept praising Roy, and he delivered his usual line. "Well, my wife and daughter are my treasures." At that moment, I decided it was time to drop a bombshell. This guy might be saying these things now, but he's terrible at home, you know. He calls me ugly and fat, and he doesn't show any affection for Monica either. "Really? Is that so?"
"Hey, what are you talking about?"
My mom's friends and my parents were surprised, and Roy was clearly flustered.
"Hey, come on, don't make up such baseless things. What's gotten into you, Rebecca?"
At that moment, I pressed the play button on the voice recorder at the perfect timing, and Roy's insults echoed throughout the tent.
"Hey, ugly, where's my beer? Maybe our daughter's clumsy because she takes after you. Your parents are really clueless. They're so annoying."
As the tent fell silent, My mom friends and parents were wide-eyed. That's when Monica innocently said, "Daddy calls Mommy ugly, right? And he often tells me to go away because I'm bothering him. Daddy has never played with me." Monica's words sent a shiver through the tent. Roy tried to grab my voice recorder in a panic, but this time I played another audio file.
"I got approached by that Melinda woman at the daycare again. I think she likes other men. Well, her husband is a bad boss. He can't do his job, and on top of that, he's bald. With him, it's no wonder if she's looking at someone else's husband. Your mom friend Haley, her husband started the same year as me. He's a slow learner, and everyone makes fun of him. He'll never get promoted with that kind of incompetence. Plus, his wife is ugly. It's really quite pitiful."
Both of my mom friends were left with their mouths wide open. While it might be expected to hear your own shortcomings and your spouse's criticized, hearing it so explicitly was another matter.
"Hey, stop it!"
With a voice that was almost a scream, Roy raised his voice to stop me. At that point, I pushed it further by playing another audio file.
"Hey, ugly, do you know why I married you?"
Huh?
"It's because your family has money. I thought I could get some cash with that old raccoon man as the president, but the financial support was less than I expected."
We're already married and independent.
"Is that terrible cook of a mother of yours cutting off the funds? Both of your parents are so stingy. That's all you can get, so you better squeeze more money out of them."
After playing that far, Roy finally took the voice recorder from me. However, it was too late by then. The two mom friends were glaring at Roy, whispering to each other in hushed voices. My parents were looking at Roy with reddened faces, and that's when my father spoke up.
"Roy, what's the meaning of this?" "Well, it's not what you think. It's a fabrication by Rebecca." There's no doubt it was your voice, and Monica also testified. "I never thought you were that kind of guy. I've been completely deceived." Dad.
That's when my mother took mine and Monica's hands. "Starting today, Rebecca and Monica will be coming home with us."
"Huh? Rebecca, come on, say something. Are you planning to leave me?"
At that moment, I said firmly, "I'm sick and tired of a man like you. All appearance and no substance. We're getting a divorce. Get ready to pay alimony and child support. You hear me?" And so, leaving behind my bewildered husband, we all walked away. Later, my parents hired a lawyer, and I was able to divorce Roy on favorable terms. He paid me $14,000 in emotional distress damages, and I received a significant portion of the property division. We also agreed on $540 per month in child support. My mom friends told their own husbands about his true nature. Roy got the cold shoulder at work. He was eventually relegated to a back office department by Melinda's husband, who was his boss. Now he says he's being ostracized by his peers. However, he has to pay child support for Monica. It's said that he has to continue working tirelessly under extremely difficult conditions. But I don't feel any sympathy for Roy. I just hope he works like a horse to pay Monica's child support. On the other hand, I have returned to my parents' home with Monica, and I'm peacefully raising her. My parents also help with childcare. My mom friends continue to be friendly as they were before, and I'm grateful for that. I look forward to my daughter's growth. I want to work hard and live life with a positive attitude as I move forward.